Chairwoman. I have 4 amendments to H.R. 1, and I appreciate the committee's consideration. But rather than delving into the complexities of these amendments, I'd like to take a step back. I'd like to step back from whatever we're going to tell the public in press releases tomorrow if this bill passes. I'd like to talk about what we'll tell our children and our grandchildren a decade from now if this bill passes. The children who count on us, not just the ones in our homes, but all of America's children, will suffer immensely under this one big bloated borrowing bill. We are the grown-ups, but under this budget proposal, we're not governing like grown-ups. Grown-ups look out for kids. Grown-up governance recognizes the moral priority of our progeny. It emphasizes the imperative of taking the long view, of saving, of sacrificing, and investing today for our children's tomorrow. We have a fiduciary duty, indeed a sacred duty, to act in their best interest. You've heard from my colleagues how this bill cuts lifeline programs for our youth, from their health care and Medicaid to their school lunches and SNAP to their student aid and Pell Grants. But we're doing much worse than even that to our children. That is, we are spending their money and borrowing from their future to pay for our present. Now, many Americans could be forgiven for believing that with all these cuts, the GOP leadership must be proposing a budget that will actually reduce our monstrous $1.9 trillion deficit. But they would be wrong. The one big bloated borrowing bill will accelerate America's accumulation of debt by $3.9 trillion over the next decade if we include the interest payments according to the Nonpartisan Committee for Responsible Budgeting. Add another $1.4 trillion in new debt when Congress inevitably makes several of the temporary provisions of this bill permanent. Now, while congressional leaders may gaslight the public about the bill's true cost, nearly every independent expert, from the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office to the Conservative Tax Foundation, knows better. The bill also hasn't fooled the markets. After we passed the less costly House version of this bill, only weeks ago, Moody's downgraded U.S. bonds in view of what they called, quote, current fiscal proposals. Wary bond investors have pushed bonds yields higher, and you can expect more of that in the years ahead, as we all pay a hidden tax from this bloated budget through higher interest rates. Now, I feel bad for my Republican colleagues. I know that President Trump painted each of them and all of Congress into a corner by publicly promising $5 trillion in tax giveaways he had no idea how to pay for. An even bigger problem is that Congress has no idea how to pay for those promises either. That's why this bill leaves, at best, $3.9 trillion of additional debt on the credit card. Now, I know that grown-up budgeting is hard. When I came into office as mayor for the 1 million residents of the city of San Jose, I faced nearly $4 billion in employee retirement debts that were crippling our city's budget, courtesy of politicians who were happy to make promises that they had no idea how to pay for. For more than a year, we spent hundreds of hours in difficult negotiations, but we forged an agreement that helped us save billions, helped us reactivate fire stations and hire police, and I left my successor with a $30 million surplus. We, Republicans and Democrats, could similarly negotiate a much better budget than this. Let's doge this bill, let's sit down and let's negotiate. I'd like to help my Republican colleagues to do what they know is right. When he realized that the Senate just added another $670 billion to the House's already bloated budget bill, Speaker Mike Johnson today told the media that, quote, I'm not happy with what the Senate did to our product. He shouldn't be happy, nor should any Republican member of this House. Let's fix this bill to make Speaker Johnson happier. Let's fix this bill for Republican Senator Murkowski, who today publicly urged us to do so. Let's fix it for Marjorie Taylor Greene, who today called it a shit show. Above all, let's fix this bill for our children. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you very much.